Good morning, and welcome to another service via Zoom from the First Unitarian Church of Alton, Illinois, on this 13th day of February in 2022. My name is Mary Johnson. My pronouns are she and her, and I am serving as a worship associate today. Our congregational history goes back to the early 1830s, and our church building stands on a land overlooking the Mississippi River, land once the home of indigenous peoples, who were stewards of the land, as we must learn better how to be. We welcome everyone into this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. In the pulpit today is Coenet Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall, who serves many roles, including as a consultant to our church here in Alton, as a parent advocate at Cardinal Glenn Children's Medical Center, and as Missouri's first Coenet, or Jewish priestess. As we begin our service, I want to thank our pianist Joy Heft, who is still unable to play live due to a hand injury, but she formats and provides all the slides we use. And we have gained permission through varying licensing agreements to be allowed to use the various videos that you'll see and hear in our services. We open today's service with a musical prelude entitled Heart is Wide Open, sung by Danya River.
Oh, love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I confess I've been trying so hard to keep it all out. Keep it all out. So love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I give up trying so hard to keep it all out. Keep it all out. So love, fill me, breathe me to pieces. Love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. If I'm made for love, make me strong enough. And when I need to hide, love, hold me in your grace until I feel safe. And love, fill me, breathe me to pieces. doves fly out, and doves come home here to rest. In my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is wide open, fill me, breathe me to peace, wide open, heart is wide open, my heart, fill me, breathe me to heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open. Heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Breathe me to peace when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open. Heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, sweet love. Love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in.
An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. As I light our chalice, join me in celebrating all of these reasons and more. If you have a chalice or candle nearby, I invite you to light it now, as together we say these unison words. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. As we come together this morning, I invite you wherever you are. Hopefully you are somewhere warm on this very chilly winter's day. And I invite you to join with me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Gracious Spirit of life, we come together today knowing that we stand at the cusp of so much change in our own lives, in the life of this congregation, and in the world at large. Our wish is to join together to create beloved community here in this place, in our homes, and across the world. May each of us be granted extra grace and patience with ourselves, with our friends and loved ones, and with those we struggle with as we do this work of infinite worth and importance. May those who are here today who need help find it, and may those who are well supported find ways to reach out to those in need. Amen. And blessed be. I invite you to join with us in singing or listening to our opening hymn, number 151, I Wish I Knew How.
It's a tradition here at First UU Alton to place each service within the context of the larger principles and sources that we as Unitarian Universalists hold dear. While we are a religion with no requirement of creed or belief, we do have things that overall we come together and support. And the service today is focusing on our third and fourth principles. Our third principle is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Today, we are discussing one of the most frustrating aspects of spiritual growth, the part where we have to wait. Patience is an important spiritual discipline, but in our fast-paced, instant gratification society, it is one that is incredibly difficult to cultivate. Our fourth principle is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And certainly in the last couple of years, with all the chaos of the pandemic and all the various things going on in our world, it has been very difficult to find hope and meaning in the mundane of our lives. So that is the focus of today's service.
As part of our weekly worship service, we take time for the expression of joys, milestones, or concerns. If you have something you'd like to share, you may write it in the chat area of your Zoom screen, or tell it to someone who is watching this service with you, or hold it silently in your heart. We offer the gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by your giving. Stewardship is more, though, than just financial donations, but it's also about donating time and talent to help our church. If you can't write a check, please help our church survive and thrive by offering your time to help maintain the building, or help on a committee, or help with worship on occasion. Please donate what you can with your time, talent, and treasure. All are needed for our church to prosper. You may mail your financial gift to the address on the screen, or you can give electronically by searching for First Unitarian Church of Alton on the Givelify app or via the link on our webpage. You can also donate via PayPal if you wish. If you are willing to donate time and talent, please contact a board member and let us know what you want to do to help. Give what you will and what you are able, for you are a generous people. Please join with me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Our next hymn is number 186 in the gray hymnal, Grieve Not Your Heart. It's sung by Katie Seifert of the Valley UU Church in Chandler, Arizona.
I don't know if you have a hymnal in front of you, but those words are from the Annals of Confucius, which were written somewhere around 500 years before the birth of Christ. It is true that these words are just as valid across time and space, and all of our great teachers have said very similar things. Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudia, and it is just such a delight to be here today. It's been a very interesting run with this wonderful community as I've gotten to meet with you inside and outside and on Zoom and in an empty sanctuary. And I look forward to the day when I can come here and see everyone's smiling faces in the pews in front of me and get to shake hands and hug and love on all of you. That is, I think, for many of us, an aspect of beloved community that we just cannot wait to get back to after this pandemic. I know it feels like a million years ago now, but when I first started seminary, I actually struggled quite a bit with how to craft an engaging sermon, something that would actually keep people's attention. And so I asked my professor of homiletics, which is literally the art of preaching, I asked him, how can I be sure that I can catch the attention of the congregation with every sermon I preached? And he laughed at me and he said, the secret, he was kind of a good old country boy, he goes, now the secret is you always preach a sermon that you need to hear. And that way, at least one person in that sanctuary gets something out of it. So today, I am most definitely taking his advice as I talk to you about one of my least developed traits, that of having patience in the moment. As the old joke goes, patience, how long is that going to take? If you are anything like me, you are just so done right now. Done with COVID, done with political coverage of failed politicians who are probably criminals and who are definitely full of hate and anger, done with Russian dictators trying to start World War III, done with Chinese communists disappearing people and making a travesty of games that are supposed to be about peace, done with racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia, and the list just goes on and on and on. I don't want patience, I just want to be there already. But as my late mother often said to me, honey, we don't always get what we want. I hate to say this, but the odds are very good that in our lifetimes we will not see an end to many of these things. Or if something like COVID or a particular politician comes to an end, there may very well be another one who'll step up to take their place. So keeping some measure of internal peace in the midst of this parade of chaos, and not just letting the media and all the things we read in social media just kind of buffet us from one thing to the other, it becomes not just a nice idea. Having inner calm becomes a critical part of sustainable self-care. Having patience with the unfolding process of life, the ability to rest one's mind in the moment and be fully present in the present, neither caught rehashing the past or worrying about the future, is not my forte. So I come to you today not as an expert who can serenely and sagely offer you some advice from my mountain retreat, but rather as someone who is right there in the trenches with you, trying to figure out how to keep waiting patiently when waiting is quite literally the last thing I want to do. To start, I do want to draw a line and kind of clarify the difference between mindfulness and patience. There's a sense in which they're the same, but there's a very real sense in which they are different. Mindfulness is really all the rage right now, but patience is something that is also needed. Patience is the ability to calmly endure the current circumstances without agitation or emotional upset, while mindfulness is the practice of having one's focus and person be fully in the moment. They are both the same in that they are about the here and now, and that in both states your emotions are regulated. But where they are different is that patience assumes change will happen, whereas mindfulness does not. Cultivating mindfulness, you are focusing your attention in this exact moment, in this place and body and happenstance, without projecting forward into the future. Thinking about whether or not things will change is actually breaking the mindfulness state, not just being a part of it. But thinking about and anticipating change is a part of patience in a very deep way. Patience is the trait of enduring something difficult until a longed-for change occurs. The African American spirituals, many of which are in our own hymnals and many of which we have sung in our lives or heard sung by others, they yearn for a future of freedom, even when the people singing them were enslaved. Patience is often mistaken for passivity, for simply accepting what happens as it comes along, a fatalism that cannot lift a hand to make change, but simply endures it. But this is not at all the truth. Patience is the ability to endure a great hardship without an emotional outburst, but it does not need to be fatalistic or passive at all. Active patience is what I'm talking about here. Now, active patience seems kind of like an oxymoron, but it really isn't, especially in the sense of it being a spiritual discipline. Active patience looks for the changes that can be made, builds a world that can be, through words and deeds, however minor, that can change the world. I saw somebody say this on the internet the other day, and it really just struck me. They said, in response to a chat that was kind of negative, they said, look, I might be just one snowflake, but you get enough of us together and we are an avalanche. That's the kind of active patience that I'm talking about today. The Jewish book of wisdom, called Pirkei Avot, or Saying of the Elders, Saying of the Fathers, says it like this: don't be overwhelmed by the grief of the world. You are not responsible for completing the work, but neither can you desist from doing it. I'm going to say that again because I just love this quote. It is something that I've tried really hard to live my life by. Do not be overwhelmed by the weight of the world's grief. You are not responsible for completing the work, but neither may you desist from doing it. Those words were written after the Jews had lost their temple, their country, their language, their religious caste, and had been scattered across the Roman Empire into small knots of people trying to figure out ways to keep their faith alive. The faith they knew, the Judaism that is in the Torah, required so many things. It required a temple and priests, animal sacrifices, land, Hebrew language, produce from the land, pilgrimages to Jerusalem, to the temple. And now the people had none of those things. And yet, those small groups of people found a way forward. They found a way to keep their faith alive. Mind you, it was a way that the Jews 100 years before them would not have recognized. And it was a way that Jews today would also not recognize. But those people survived, they endured, and through the active patience of creating a vision and step by step, incremental, tiny little changes, they continued to push the vision forward of a world that could be. They pushed this world forward and they sustained themselves through over 2,000 years of people, each contributing to the work in some way. Now today, Jews have land, language, religion, produce, pilgrimages, and more back, but the work is not complete. As anyone knows, the state of Israel is not a beloved and harmonious community. There is still a lot of work to be done. The prophets wrote a description of what the work looks like: swords destroyed and made into plows, lions grazing beside lambs instead of eating them, all humans living in peace together. Today, we call this the beloved community. You and I both know this seems as far away today as it did 2,000 years ago when the temple was destroyed, or 2,500 years ago when Isaiah wrote that image of the beloved community. And yet, For the first time in history, people of many languages and many religions work together on common goals. Women have more rights, at least in some parts of the world, than ever before. Infant mortality in some parts of the world is lower than it has ever been. When one country talks about invading another, we are shocked and appalled instead of just thinking this is the normal way that countries gain wealth. Slavery is considered a moral wrong by the vast majority of the world instead of just a normal practice. Active patience, countless people whose names we will never know, these souls who had a vision of a better world and worked in their lifetime to bring it about. None of them completed the work, but neither did they desist from doing it. And sometimes what I find so fascinating is that these people did this work and they worked so hard to bring about this vision of a beloved community and a better future. And that's not even what history wants to remember them for at all. An example of this is I was in Barnes & Noble, and there's a new book that just came out. You may have heard of Wedgwood pottery, the fancy china that was all the rage and still to this day is considered the epitome of classy china for the upper peoples. It was all the rage in the 17 and 1800s, and the founder of this pottery line, Josiah Wedgwood, used most of the wealth that he gained by being the premier potter for the Queen of England and a whole bunch of other people. He devoted his fortune to freeing enslaved people because he was an abolitionist. His other main claim to fame is that he believed very strongly in science, and he encouraged his family to be educated and to develop that. And because of that, his grandson, Charles Darwin, was able to pursue knowledge in ways that have changed all of our lives. We will not know in our lives the extent of our contribution to the work. We know what the work is. As Unitarian Universalists, people like to think, oh, we don't know what we're about, or we don't know what our theology is, or we don't know what we believe. We do. We have a really clear vision of what we're aiming for. Never let it be said that as UUs, we don't believe in something. We believe with all our hearts that we can make this world a better place if we try. Maybe not in our lifetime, but we can. We are creating beloved community, Universalist heaven here on earth. Now, what that looks like to each of us may be different, but we know what we're aiming for. But what we need to get there are three things. First, we need a clear vision of what beloved community is. Second, we need to cultivate this active patience that can endure a lot while still pushing forward to a goal. And third, we need to find others to support us in our part of the work because we cannot do it alone. So first, needing a clear vision. Our faith gives us that. That's one reason we do join here week after week in community, is because we need to hear over and over again this ideal of the beloved community. We need to come together in a place where it does not matter the color of our skin, what our gender identity is, or who we love, that we are welcome in this place. We need to come to a place where all are truly embraced in their uniqueness, in their difference, in their weirdness, in their geekiness, that all of the parts of ourselves can have a home, can be a part of building this community. We want to belong to a place where what matters is not the energy level or the ability of your physical body, but your commitment to building beloved community. Our writers and our poets and our social justice teachers present the ideals of this community, and they urge us to keep adopting more and more and more of it into our lives. Lately, there has been a large push to incorporate anti-racism into everything we as Unitarian Universalists do. It is an acknowledgement that while individual Unitarian Universalists are usually not at all racist, that alone is not enough. It is time to take the next step and become actively anti-racism, looking in our lives as individuals and in the lives of our communities, both the church communities and our townships and our areas, for all the ways that racist systems have seeped into how we operate, and try to root those out like weeds anywhere we find them. This is definitely a process that requires active patience, because unraveling systemic oppression and trauma is the work of many, many lifetimes. Our goal is very clear. Our goal is a world where no ethnic background or skin color has any advantages or benefits over any other. We have a clear vision, but we have to cultivate a lot of patience for ourselves and for others to get there. We have to learn patience for ourselves and for others in the process, because one of the things we know as we join together in church on Sunday morning and through the rest of our week is that we're all doing the very best that we can. Each and every one of you that I have met and had the pleasure of interacting with, I know we all have our stuff, right? Each one of us has our own traumas and trials, our problems and our layers of ancestral oppression, the systemic harms that the junk in our society has put onto us. It is literally impossible for anyone, myself included, to undo even my own stuff. I have been at this for over 20 years, working with counselors, working with spiritual directors, constantly digging at the layers of my own past, my own ancestral trauma, all the things that have gone on, trying to unpack it and get to a point where those things no longer control me unconsciously, but that I can understand where these emotional impulses are coming from and make a difference in others' lives and in my own. But I still routinely run into thoughts or feelings or triggers that leave me later going, what the heck? That isn't who I really am. Why did I think that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? These systemic problems are like viruses, like COVID. They get inside you, they rewrite your DNA, and they just keep replicating and mutating and coming up with new variants all the time, so you can't really ever get them all out. Having patience with yourself and with others doing this work is important. And again, this is not a passive or a fatalistic, oh, I guess I'm just going to have racist thoughts my whole life. No, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you have one, you go, wow, that's terrible. Why did I ever have that thought? And instead of beating yourself up for it, you go, well, systemic trauma. We're all in a world that is steeped with this horrible stuff. Let me yank that one out of my soul, throw it away, breathe, and then keep doing the work. That's what I mean by active patience. We recognize that we're not going to get there today or tomorrow, but we keep walking forward. Patience with yourself and patience with others who are doing the work is important. Knowing that inner change is just as valuable to creation of the beloved community as anything else is important. Just because you can't be out in the streets marching or protesting doesn't mean that you're not doing incredible, important things. Learning how to speak differently, learning how to think differently, learning how to feel differently when you see somebody as you're driving down the street. These are all parts of the way we build beloved community. Knowing that your inner change is the work of at least this lifetime, depending on your beliefs, maybe it is the work of many. Taking each moment as part of this whole path. It's a patience. We are not running down a straight paved path to the beloved community. We're doing much more like the old Dennis the Menace cartoons, if any of you remember those, where over and up and down and around and behind and walk backwards and forwards. That's the way our route to beloved community is going. We go forwards and back, over a hill, and then turn around and dash across a field, and then we have to climb a tree to figure out where we even are. Patience is vital for this work, both with yourself and with others. And the work is not going to seem equal. One person who's had a decent life with good family and lots of opportunities may seem so much closer to being in beloved community than someone who hasn't had those same chances. But the community is not complete if anyone is left out. So each of us needs the other to walk with them, even if the journey is longer and more winding for one than another. The other reason that we need community is to hold us up when we cannot walk any further. Each of us in our journey on this road is going to have times where we just can't take another step. where we ourselves have been so weighed down or broken down or beat up by the oppressions of society that we cannot move forward anymore. When those things happen, we need others to pick us up and to put us on our feet, to help us, maybe put an arm around us and carry us for a while, maybe just plain make a litter and, drag us down the road being carried by our friends. Sometimes that's what it takes for us to all move forward, is for us to totally lean on other people and let them do the work for us for a little while. The thing to remember is that this is definitely not a sprint of any kind, and your turn will come around when you have recovered and rested and healed, and you can then carry someone else who is in need of that rest. When we have these things, when we have the clear vision of beloved community that our faith provides, when we have patience with ourselves and with others, and when we have a community of people to do this work with, then someday, we will be able to say, yes, we are here, instead of, are we there yet? That is my hope and my prayer for each and every one of us, if not in this lifetime, then our children's or our children's children's. Amen, and blessed be. Our final hymn today is number 1021 in the Teele hymnal, Lean on Me.
Somebody to lean on.
I have an announcement from Robin Berkeley, our church president. We are pleased to report that next Sunday, February 20th, we will resume services live in the sanctuary to worship the tech team and all of you. We are asking all attendees to wear an N95 or a KN95 mask. Masks will be provided for those who do not meet those standards. We ask that you be vaccinated, but we are on an honor system. Social distancing will be enforced in the sanctuary. We want to keep on worshiping in person, so we ask your cooperation as this is putting our values in action. Tracy Howe Cope will be in the pulpit next Sunday speaking on the theme of thresholds. And Robin says, can't wait to see all of you on Sunday, February 20th at 10 a.m. I invite you now to join me in reciting prayer as I extinguish the chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of the flame until we meet again.
Three things are needed in this world today: a vision held high of beloved community, a people demonstrating love and patience to and for each other and themselves, and a people who lean on each other and in so doing show the world a better way than violence or hate. May we continue to be these people, for our service now begins as this service ends. Amen, and blessed be.
Let me